future is the patient. It is a philosophy central to Dr. Patel's practice as a functional medicine provider and the founder CEO of the Living Proof Institute. Through his holistic approach, target at changing one's lifestyle, nutrition, and attitude, Dr. Patel provides long-term solutions to various health problems and aims to empower his patient to take control over their own health. He is an advocate for changing the healthcare paradigm and a well-versed speaker who has delivered many community workshops and talked to share his vision. Today, we will emphasize how important it is to go back to the basics in order to foresee a healthier future for all. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sachin Patel.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to have each and every one of you open your notebook. And I want to see you guys taking vigorous notes, okay? Because I don't want to see that paper go to waste. My name is Sachin Patel, as she mentioned, and today we're going to talk about the doctor of the future. Can anyone guess who the doctor of the future is?
Us.
It's you. It's you and everyone that you'll ever meet in your entire life, okay? So this is the philosophy that's central to our practice, and this is the message that I get to now take all over the world with me. So I've traveled to many unique countries and unique places to teach governments, to teach institutions, and to also be here like this to teach students like yourselves about who the doctor of the future is. How many of you think we need more doctors in our society to solve our healthcare crisis? Raise your hands. It's okay. There's no wrong answers, except that one. We actually don't need more doctors. What we need is more healthy people, right? Because when do people go see the doctor? When they're sick, which means that as people get sicker and sicker, and as our population ages, there won't be enough of us. There will never be enough of us. So for us to truly solve this problem, we actually have to understand it. And there will never be enough practitioners, doctors, nurses, to actually save a population that cannot save itself. So think about how many hours and years you spend in school and how little education is actually provided to you about how to take care of yourself. Right? You probably got like health education in grade 8, which was a complete joke, right? At that age, it's you're so immature, it's just like doodling and cracking jokes about people, or even yourself, or anatomy, whatever the case may be. So really, we have very little understanding. So think about all the years and hours and time that's wasted in not learning about this amazing machinery that we have. Raise your hands if you think that we could probably spend a few hours, at least every year, learning about our health. Absolutely. So why isn't that happening? So again, in understanding the problem, we have to realize where the problem stems from. So our entire economy is driven by solving problems that we create. So imagine everyone woke up tomorrow and they were healthy. What would that do to our economy? It would actually destroy it. Okay? The stock market would crash, hospitals would have to close, doctors' offices would have to close. We wouldn't need any more research because everyone would be healthy. But how amazing would that world be to live in? Isn't that the world that you guys want? That's the world I want to live in. So that's the world that I'm trying to create. And so the word doctor, does anyone know what the word doctor actually originates from? What the origin word is?
I think teacher.
Teacher. Not pill pusher, not medicator, not surgeon. The word doctor stems from the word teacher. So my job is to actually teach people how to take better care of themselves, okay? And what I realized in doing this is that the doctor of the future is actually the patient. That's the actual solution. Not more doctors, not more research. In fact, if you look at research, if you look at how much research is being done, it's actually going up exponentially. And what does that mean? So think about that for a moment. Does that mean that we know more, or does it mean that we know less? It's kind of paradoxical, because the more questions you ask, the less you actually know. Isn't that true? So as research goes up exponentially, we're asking more questions, which means we don't have the answers to these things. And so if you think about this as a cosmic joke, it's really what it is. Has anyone read the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton? The Biology of Belief? You guys are health students, right? Most of you? So write this down. I want you to read this book. It'll change your life. It's called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. He was the first human being to study stem cells in a petri dish. And what he realized is that the environment that you grew these stem cells in actually determined the health of the cells. And that makes sense, right? If I put you in a toxic environment, what's the outcome going to be of your health? It's going to be toxic. Your physiology is essentially a biological representation and a mirror of your environment. If I put you under a stressful environment, in a stressful environment, I create stress physiology. Is that pathology or is that intelligent adaptation? Everyone's afraid to answer questions now. It's actually intelligent adaptation. So I'm going to teach you today that we actually have a broken healthcare paradigm, especially when it comes to treating. You know what? I'm going to stand here and I'm going to pose for this picture because every time you take a picture like this, your mouth is open, you've got this awkward look on your face. I'm just kidding. So when you do enough of these, you know what to do or not to do. So let's get into this. You guys excited? Yes. Okay, good. So 23,000 is the number of breaths that you will take today. Isn't that amazing? 23,000 passively, without thinking about it, without having any mental faculty attributed to it. You'll take 23,000 breaths today. Today, your heart will beat 100,000 times. Whether you like it or not, whether you have gratitude for that or not, it'll beat 100,000 times. You have 70 trillion cells in your body coordinating the function of your physiology constantly in real time, 24/7, 365, before you were even actually born. Okay? And you have 1 septillion functions taking place right now in your body at the exact same time. So you are amazing. There's nothing more amazing than you. Your cells are the highest form of intelligence in the entire known universe. If we found a human cell, something as intelligent as a human cell, anywhere else except on this planet, it would be the greatest discovery of mankind, wouldn't it? So why is it that you have 70 trillion of these cells and nobody's ever taught you how to take care of them? It's because when you don't know how to take care of yourself, it drives the economy. Think about this for a moment. Think about all the things you buy, all the services that you get, and the reason you buy them is because you don't know how to do these things for yourself. Isn't that the truth? You give your taxes out to delegate those to other people, you get your car fixed by somebody else, you get your health fixed by somebody else, but here's the truth. Nobody can fix you better than you can fix yourself. And until we realize that, we will never change the healthcare narrative and who wins in this game. Okay? Yes, you might have free cancer therapy. Yes, you can have open heart surgery and it's quote unquote free, but who wants to be in the best oncologist's office for free? Anyone here? No. So it's not about who's paying for our care, it's about what are we paying for. Why do we have to wait for somebody to be on the brink of death for them to get free health care? Why can't we just keep our population healthy? Isn't that what a first world country should be able to do, is keep their population healthy? Or is it that we wait until they get extremely sick and then we give them quote unquote free health care? Nobody wants that. Okay? That paradigm is dying. So by the time you guys are my age, you're going to see a new field of healthcare emerging, which is called lifestyle and functional medicine. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay? You are animated Earth. There's nothing in you. There isn't a single molecule in you that isn't made up from the planet that we live on. So as we destroy our planet, we destroy ourselves. Okay? You are a microcosm of the world and the environment that you live in. Some of you may have heard, as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. The biggest things in the universe are represented by the smallest things in the universe. You guys know anything about sacred geometry? No? What do they teach you guys in school these days? So if you look at the shape of the Milky Way, there's actually a geometry and sacred geometry built into that. If you look at a seashell, it's representing the same mathematical principles. If you go all the way down to the cell, the same mathematical principles are represented. So the biggest things in the entire cosmos are represented by the smallest things in the entire cosmos. So as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. So as we improve the health of our planet, we improve the health of every species on the planet. Does that make sense? Okay. So you are the doctor of the future. Each and every one of you are the doctor of the future. That's a picture of my son, who's the doctor of the future as well. Okay. He's 7, and guess what? We teach him the same principles that I'm teaching you today. Because if I can teach him these things from a very young age, if I can teach him the governing principles of how his body works, if I can teach him that he is amazing and he has remarkable intelligence built into every single cell in his body, and I can teach him how to take care of those cells, guess what? He can stay healthy for an entire lifetime. Guess how many times he's been to the doctor in 7 years? Once. Okay, because he's got Dr. Mom and myself at home, because we teach him how to take care of himself. Okay, guess how many times I've been to the doctor in the last 10 years? 0. Guess how many days of work I've missed in the last 10 years? 0. Okay, because each and every one of you is actually capable of those things. Now, I remember in university, I didn't know the things that I know now, so I would get sick all the time. I remember my first anatomy exam, I got sick 2 days before and I had to miss the actual exam. Okay, so I know what the cost of illness is, and I see it over and over in my practice, and it's quite unfortunate. So we're going to teach you guys how to become the doctor of the future. So a little bit about myself. I took a very unconventional path to actually get here to where I am today. I started off in chiropractic school. I went to McMaster University, and then I went to chiropractic school in New York, and I started working in a sports clinic. Okay, so right after that, I did my externship in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was working with the Cincinnati Bengals. I was working with the Cincinnati Reds. I was working with professional athletes that would fly from all over the world to come and see me because I was specialized in a soft tissue technique. And then in 2006, I was on the news. And I was excited because we were doing stories about, the story was about golfer's elbow and tennis elbow. And so I got excited because, you know, who doesn't want to be on the news, right? Who doesn't think that that's their big break, if you will? And so I'm on the news, and the story airs at 5:20. And then from 5:20 to 7 o'clock, the phone wouldn't stop ringing. And all these people started calling in. And I got excited because I love helping people. But as these people started coming in, some of them came in wheelchairs, some of them came in walkers, some of them came in, you know, decrepit and debilitated. None of them were athletes. Like, they wished they could play tennis and golf, which is what the story was about. But what these people were desperately seeking was help. So as I started interviewing these patients who were chronically ill, and you could see that they, you know, we went from treating the healthiest athletes, the highest level athletes in the world, to treating some of the sickest people in our population. So it's a very broad spectrum when you think about it. And when I interviewed these patients, what I realized is that they had been to every specialist, they had tried every drug, they had had every procedure under the sun that they could imagine, but not one person asked them about what they were eating. Not one doctor asked them about their lifestyle. Not one doctor asked them about their stress levels. Not one doctor asked them about exercise. All these doctors were interested in were numbing them of their pain. That's it. And when you numb people of their pain and you don't actually address the root cause, what happens? That pain shows up somewhere else. Okay, it's like whack-a-mole. That's what our medical system has essentially become. Okay, and that's why you see people on multiple medications. But here's the thing, the reason there are multiple medications is because nobody's asked the right questions. And what we assume, you know, which is very tragic, and it almost makes me want to cry, but it's very tragic, is that we assume that the body doesn't know what it's doing. We assume that the body is making a mistake. We assume that these 70 trillion cells that are coordinating 1 septillion functions simultaneously, the very body that built you from 2 cells is making the mistake. Who thinks your body makes the mistake? Anyone? So why have we built an entire healthcare culture around this idea that your body is broken and it doesn't know what it's doing? Why is it that when your blood pressure comes back high, we don't ask about stress and we assume the body's doing something wrong and we give you a medication for that? You know, there's 3 ways that you can raise blood pressure. So guess what happens? You put somebody on one blood pressure medication, you didn't fix the cause, the body finds another way because the body's intelligent. Okay? When somebody has high cholesterol, who thinks that somebody has high cholesterol because the body's making a mistake? Anyone? No. The body never makes mistakes. It can't. So we have this culture where we think the body's doing something wrong, when in reality the body is actually intelligently adapting to the circumstances that you're putting it under. Did you know that in order to make stress hormones, you need to make more cholesterol? Did you know in order to reduce inflammation, you need to make more cortisone? And to make more cortisone, the building block of cortisone is actually cholesterol. So if you don't address somebody's inflammation and you don't address their stress and you lower their cholesterol, what are you artificially doing? You're lowering their ability to actually handle stress and to make their own anti-inflammatories. This is why people who go on cholesterol medications actually end up with debilitating pain, because now they've shut off the body's own mechanism of dealing with that pain. Does that make sense? Okay. So you can stay connected with me. I suggest you do that. I'm going to talk really fast because I only have an hour. And So you stay connected with me at the Living Proof Institute. You can follow me on Sachin Patel. Don't add me as a friend because I can't add you back. I have 1,000 pending friend requests. And if you're not recording this, then you might want to do that because I'm going to blow the roof off this place in a minute. All right, so just a little bit about me. And I'm a proud father and husband. I think being a husband and a father is my most important role because I know I can shape generations to come if I teach my son how to be a good citizen of this planet. I'm also a patient and practitioner advocate. So I look out for both the patient sitting on this one side of the desk and I look out for the practitioner. So I'm not trying to create a solution that is one-sided. Okay, right now our healthcare solution is very one-sided. Who does it favor? Who does our healthcare system favor right now? It's hard to tell, right? Because patients leave and they actually get worse. If you follow your doctor's instructions, you'll actually get worse. Because if you gave a healthy person any medication, would it make that person healthier? Ever? Never. So how can we give a sick person a medication and expect them to get healthier? Is that even possible? Is that even physiologically possible to do that? We can numb them. We can numb them and we can dumb them down, but we can't actually heal them with the principles that we have right now. So I look out for patients and I look out for practitioners. Right now, it takes about 3 years for the average medical doctor in our current system to actually not want to do medicine anymore. So every medical doctor that I know that's a friend of mine actually wishes they weren't a doctor because you have patients that are completely clueless about their health coming in. You have 5 minutes with these people, okay, and they're moaning and groaning and complaining, coming in with the most basic stuff. And guess what? Every intervention you give that person actually makes them less healthy. So what happens next year or next month or next quarter when that person comes back? Are they more healthy and vibrant or are they sicker than ever before? They're sicker than ever before, okay? I'm also a practice success coach, so I teach practitioners from all over the world. Now I've trained about 1,000 doctors, and I teach them how to implement the principles that I'm going to teach you today into their practices and be radically successful, okay? And then I'm a philanthropist, so I do lots of things to help. I built a hospital in Uganda this past year. So we do things to help people that actually need, the fundamental basics of healthcare. And then I'm a chocolate addict. Any other chocolate addicts here? Okay, so fun fact, did you know that chocolate contains a compound in it called PEA, which actually mimics a neurotransmitter in your brain called dopamine? You guys know what dopamine is? Yeah? I actually wrote a book on it. So dopamine is actually our motivation and reward neurotransmitter, okay? I wrote another book called Perfect Practice because, again, I teach practitioners how to help people. And you'll see up here in the small print, it says a 7-figure strategy. And what that means is we want to help millions of people, okay? And if you help millions of people, it's okay to make millions of dollars, isn't it? Right? So there's an opportunity for each and every one of you, maybe a small percentage of you in this room, but anyone that wants to help a lot of people and have a huge impact in our current healthcare crisis. So other things that I do is I'm a 2-time best-selling author, an international speaker, a photographer. I love photography, a nature lover, and I love gadgets. And you can see that there's a whole vomit of gadgets back there next to my wife. And I'm a dopamine junkie, so I love learning about dopamine. I love doing things that are risky but also rewarding at the same time. Okay. This is me speaking to about a couple hundred doctors at the Functional Forum. If you're not following Functional Forum, then I suggest you do that. You can go to goevomed.com and you'll learn about this growing movement. Right now, my buddy James, who co-hosted this with me, he's in England right now. He's talking to 200 doctors about how to change the NHS system right now. So there's a global movement of functional medicine that's going on right now. Who here has heard of functional medicine? Raise your hands. Okay, awesome. So you can all raise your hands after today's talk if somebody asks you that again, because that's what you're going to learn about. Has anyone here had an organic acid test done? I didn't think so. Does anyone know what that is? Okay. Has anyone learned about Krebs cycle? All of you, right? So here's the disconnect. So in Biology 101, you learn about Krebs cycle. And then what happens? You learn it, you memorize it, and then you go get wasted at the bar and you forget it, right? So you format your hard drive after every lecture, right? So here's the thing. You can actually do urinary organic acids. You might want to write that down. Urinary organic acids to measure the function and metabolism of neurotransmitters. You can also use urinary organic acids to measure the function of somebody's Krebs cycle metabolism. Wouldn't it be nice to know what somebody's Krebs cycle is doing? How many cells in your body have mitochondria in them? All of them except your red blood cells. Where's the highest concentration of mitochondria in the entire body? Where? Oh, come on, man. What the hell are they teaching you guys here? In the ovaries. The ovaries actually have the highest concentration of mitochondria. Next is the brain, and then the heart. So if you want to raise healthier kids, you need healthy functioning mitochondria. If you want to do well in school, you have to have healthy functioning mitochondria, because that powers the prefrontal cortex, which is a part of our brain that actually makes us intelligent. If you want a healthy heart, which is still the number 1-2 cause of death, you have to have healthy functioning mitochondria. Every single cell, every single organ in your body requires healthy functioning mitochondria. So why isn't that part of a standard test when you go see the doctor every month, or every year, or every quarter, or every decade like I do? Why is that not part of the standard procedure? Because it's not looking for disease, it's looking for function. So right now what we have is a disease-centered model of care. You have to be completely broken and diagnosable with a problem before anybody's even going to look at you to help you. How many of you know someone who's gone to the doctor that feels miserable and they were told that everything looks fine, everything looks normal? Has anyone encountered that ever? Yeah, pretty much all of you. Okay? Know someone who's been there, and it's because what the doctor is looking for is they're looking for the end stage diagnosable criteria for that disease. Now write this down. Whoever names the game owns the game. Who makes up these diseases? Who makes up the disease criteria that we come up with? Who says that if your blood sugar is past this amount or your A1C is past this amount, then you have a diagnosable problem? It's the same system that provides the treatment. Does that sound fair? You know, think about this. My son and I race all the time, and sometimes I'll let him win. But guess what? If I win, what does he do? He changes the rules on me. Right? So you could feel absolutely terrible, or someone you love could feel absolutely terrible. They go to the doctor, but they don't meet the criteria of that illness, because the criteria is not based on how the patient feels, but it's based on what we can measure. And that's not fair. That's not fair to you. You might not realize this because you're very young. It's not fair to your parents. It's not fair to your grandparents. It's not fair to the people that you love that are not feeling their absolute best. And at some point, this talk will come back and resonate with you a little bit more. So I bring this up. These are actually my results. So there's my metabolism of dopamine. You can see it's really high. And there's my metabolism of serotonin. There's a discussion that's going to be going on a little bit later today about if the drug industry has created a drug-centric model for depression and anxiety and mental health disorders. Well, you know what? This is a test, a very simple test. One single sample of urine can tell us about your brain chemistry. Wouldn't that be amazing to do on people instead of drugging them and numbing them? You should be nodding your heads, right? So here's our clinic in Mississauga. We've got a couple. I've built two, one in Cincinnati and one in Mississauga. And like I said, I train about 1,000 doctors all over the world. And we've built an amazing team of people. What makes our practice different is that we help people that have failed conventional healthcare, that have been to multiple specialists, that have been to multiple medical practitioners, and we heal them by teaching them how to fix themselves. We don't even have a single medical doctor on our team. We haven't dispensed a single drug in our practice. And we fix people that fly in from all over the world nobody else can fix, because we teach them how to fix themselves. If I teach you and I convince you that your body is broken and your body's making a mistake, what does that do to your psyche? What does that do to you? Your name? What? Melly. So what would that do to you, Melly? If you came into me and I was your doctor, I said, listen, Melly, sucks, but you got bad genes. What would that do to your psyche? It would destroy it, wouldn't it? Then you're convinced that you've got a bad body. You've got bad genes. It's my parents' fault. Would you ever do anything to fix it if you're convinced that it's you? Never. So what are you going to do? We don't know how to fix you, but here's a drug. Right? Here's something that will make a healthy person sick. Let's see if it works for you. Right? How many people think we have an evidence-based model of healthcare right now? One person. Actually, we don't. Okay, because each and every single one of you is biologically individual. Each and every single one of you has had a unique experience growing up in life. Each and every one of you actually has a unique microbiome. Do you guys learn about the microbiome? Yeah? So the fact that your microbiome is unique to you means that we can never do an N equals a million study. This is why one person can take a drug and feel good, and the next person can take a drug and they drop dead. How is that possible? If we have evidence-based healthcare. The moment you add more than one drug into a patient's treatment, there's no evidence anymore, is there? So because we're all individual, the movement in healthcare that's taking place right now is N equals 1. Okay, so write that down, N equals 1. We're going back to individualized care. You know, in my opinion, health does not start in the hospital, so we can't call this healthcare. This is sick care. Health starts in your head, starts in your hands, and it starts, most importantly, in your home. So we're going to usher in a new system of care, and again, we're taking this all over the world. So this is our model. I'll talk you through it in just a minute. But our philosophy is that nothing can fix your body better than it can fix itself, because your body literally built itself, didn't it? 2 cells came together and built you into this amazing human being. So you have the intelligence of the entire universe and the entire known cosmos built into every cell in your body. What can rebuild that better than you? What is your body constantly doing in this moment? Cells are dying and they're silently replacing themselves. During this talk, billions of cells will die and billions of cells will replace themselves. With new cells or old cells? Brand new ones. You are being reborn in every moment. You are literally a hologram. Think about that for a minute. You are dying and being reborn every single passing moment in your life, okay? With healthy, brand new cells. Isn't that amazing? Like, so remarkable to me. It just blows my mind. You know, chronic disease is essentially, what we call chronic disease is essentially intelligent adaptation to unfortunate and or unexplored circumstances. Right? A lot of people go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, we don't know what causes this. A lot of people hear that. We don't know what causes MS. We don't know what causes autoimmunity. Well, does that mean we'll never know? No, we haven't explored it. And so functional medicine is that exploration. Functional medicine is taking an N of 1 and exploring what is the microbiome doing? What is their mitochondria doing? What is this person's environment like? What is this person's subconscious programming like? All of these things influence your biology, and we're going to dig into that a little bit more. So in one graphic, if I could show you the difference between functional medicine and conventional medicine. So here we have the underlying root causes. The root causes are often inflammation, poor dietary choices, a lack of purpose, toxic relationships, okay? Environmental issues, toxicity, a sedentary lifestyle. These are things that contribute to chronic illness. Now, if we look at the top up here, these are the diagnoses that people get, okay? And really the diagnoses that people create. You don't get a diagnosis. You don't get diabetes. You create diabetes, okay? You don't get cancer. You create cancer. And although that might sound empowering, or unempowering, it's actually very empowering because you can also create the opposite, which is health. Okay, so the power is actually in your hands. So let's talk about how diseases develop over a period of time. So everyone starts off as healthy as they're going to be. In fact, how we define health is going to be changing. Did you know that the average child that's born in North America has 200 known carcinogens in their bloodstream before they're even born? Crazy, right? But so remarkable is life that we can birth all these amazing babies and they can turn into amazing human beings like you guys. So the number one actual chronic disease and chronic cause of suffering right now in North America, does anyone know? It's on the slide there, but people still don't know, right? It's autoimmunity. So autoimmunity is divided into 100 different conditions. It could be MS, it could be vitiligo, it could be Crohn's or colitis, it could be rheumatoid arthritis. These are all autoimmune conditions. This is where the immune system is unfortunately attacking your own tissue, okay? And so 60 million people in North America have an autoimmune condition. 60 million. Do you know how much the drugs are to treat an autoimmune condition per month? About $3,000 a month, okay? So imagine 60 million people spending $3,000 a month on medication that actually doesn't fix the problem, what does that mean for our economy? Is that good for the economy? It's amazing for the economy. It's great for the stock market. It's great for pharmaceutical companies. It's great for doctors and the medical system because now people have to keep coming in for blood tests and scans and they have to keep getting their prescription refilled. Do you see how this problem is not going to be solved by the very system that's actually profiting from it? They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot. Okay? So it's up to us to come up with a whole new model. So what happens is there's an immune activation. Now here's the thing. That immune activation can take place decades before the symptoms show up. So imagine we had a roof that was leaking, or imagine it was raining in here, and we had 50 different buckets, and each of these buckets represented different systems in our body. Okay? And this is easy, like all of you have water bottles, right? And some of you have little cups. So imagine you're as it's raining in this room, the smallest buckets are going to fill up first, aren't they? Okay? So the smallest buckets fill up first, and those start overflowing, and that's when you get a diagnosis. So the diagnosis doesn't happen when that first drop hits the bucket. The diagnosis happens when the bucket overflows. Now, while that bucket's overflowing, there's no symptoms because your desk is dry, right? So there's no symptoms going on. And so the patient doesn't even know that they need to go see somebody to fix this leaky roof because the body kind of takes care of it. Did you know that your organs have about a 95% reserve? You know you could destroy your liver 95% and you'll still function? You've probably heard of stories of somebody with a 95% blockage in their artery and they're still alive, right? They were fine the day before. So our bodies have amazing reserves, and these amazing reserves are actually, unfortunately, sometimes to our detriment because we don't have symptoms until it's very late in the process. So you might go to the doctor, or somebody might go to the doctor, and they might come in with symptoms, but they haven't met the criteria for a diagnosis. Because what's the doctor looking for? The doctor is looking for, is the desk wet? The doctor isn't looking for how much water is in the cup. Does that make sense? All right. Now, no chronic disease, even if you get a diagnosis, can ever occur in isolation. So can somebody ever develop diabetes and then be perfectly healthy everywhere else in their body? Can somebody have MS and have perfect health in every other system in their body? Can somebody have heart disease and have perfect health in their body? Can somebody have cancer and have perfect health everywhere else in their body? They absolutely cannot. So when we use a diagnostic-centered model of care, which is what we have right now, we try to fit people into these little boxes and label them. Guess what? That's never going to work. That's why it's not working. That's why all this research that we're doing, all this money that we're spending, trying to treat diseases isn't working. Have we treated a single disease and cured it yet? Any chronic disease that we've cured infectious diseases, but have we cured cancer? Have we cured heart disease? Have we even cured diabetes? Have we cured autoimmunity? We haven't cured a single disease because the model that we're using to study the body is not how the body works. It's how the economy works, but it's not how the body works. Make sense? You guys depressed? You shouldn't be. There's a bright future ahead. Okay? There's an extremely bright future ahead. There's an amazing opportunity. You guys are so lucky to be hearing this conversation right now because not many students get to hear this. Okay? Here's the thing. The beautiful thing about this message is no disease develops in isolation, but here's the thing, neither does healing. So when you heal every system in your body. That's empowering, isn't it? Right? Wouldn't you want a strategy that heals every system in your body, every cell, every organ? Of course you do. Or do you want a system that just makes your cholesterol go down while it's destroying every other system in your body? Okay, the choice is up to you guys. How you guys implement this information is totally up to you. But remember, the same blood goes everywhere. The same blood that's destroying somebody's kidneys or destroying somebody's nervous system or creating diabetes in their body or heart disease in their body, the same blood goes everywhere. So how can you ever develop any chronic disease in isolation? It is physiologically impossible. So to think that we can isolate chronic disease and label it is actually not very accurate. It's a misunderstanding of how physiology works. So I'm going to show you a little bit about our method. We always start with cellular health. Okay? And the reason for this is because every single organ in your body is made up of cells. Now here's the other thing. All of your cells, essentially, although their function might be different externally, their internal biochemistry is the same, isn't it? Right? You guys took biology, so you learn about how human cells work. And the principles of physiology apply to every single cell in the body. So wouldn't it make sense that instead of trying to treat organs, we treat the cells because in order for you to have a disease in any organ, the cell of that organ has to be dysfunctional. So in order for you to have liver disease, what do you have to have? You have to have dysfunctional liver cells. In order for you to have heart disease, you have to have dysfunctional cells of the heart. Now, these organs come together to make systems, and systems come together to create your state of health. Does that make sense? So the question then becomes, what influences the cells? What creates a change or shift in the function of the cell? Because if we can do that, if we can create healthy cells, by default, we can create healthy organs and healthy systems and healthy states. You guys follow me? Great. So first things first is energy production. The cell has to be powered in order for it to do its job. So the mitochondria, we have thousands of mitochondria inside certain cells in our body. But every cell in our body, except red blood cells, have mitochondria. So why don't we address this? Okay, I'm going to show you a test that addresses this. The next thing is oxidation and detoxification. Just like your car has an engine, which is the mitochondria, you also have an exhaust system which gets rid of the waste products, right? So no matter how efficient your cells are, they all produce waste. Now here's the thing. We produce endogenous waste products. So just from cell function, just from me giving this talk, I'm going to produce waste products. Just from you sitting there, you're going to produce waste products. But if we were inhaling gas, right, toxic gas right now, then we have exogenous toxins coming in. So where do exogenous toxins come from today in our environment? Could be nutrition, right? Could be the stuff that we spray on our foods. It could be the stuff that we rub on our bodies. You know, this is why women are sicker than men, because women rub about 5 pounds of toxins directly onto their skin, which is your largest organ, every single year. So if you're not using organic, natural products for makeup or for beauty, you should be. That's an easy win. Okay, if you want cancer, just keep using the toxic stuff they sell at Sephora and MAC. Okay? And then we have brain health and methylation. Do you guys learn about methylation? Yeah? So methylation affects 200 biological processes in your body. Okay, including your ability to make glutathione, which is your most important master antioxidant, including your ability to make neurotransmitters, including your ability to break down fight or flight neurotransmitters like catecholamines. Okay, so we rely on methylation very, very significantly. Okay, so we look at that in our practice. The next thing is diet and digestion. So diet is important, but how you digest your food is actually just as, if not more important. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that if I have time. Then we have stress and inflammation, and then we have environment. Okay, and so our lifestyle choices and our environment all influence our cells. Has anyone heard of epigenetics? Awesome. So for those of you that haven't, I'm going to give you a simple example. How many of you feel amazing when you're on vacation? Raise your hands. Okay, all of you, right? Did I change your genes? No. Did I improve your diet? Probably not, right? But why did you feel better? You felt better because I changed your environment. I changed what you're thinking about. I changed who you're hanging out with. And in 3 days, people with chronic diseases actually start feeling better. Did you know it would be cheaper to send somebody to an all-inclusive paid trip to Cancun for $1,500 a week than to keep them in the hospital overnight for $2,500? They would actually get healthier living somewhere else. Most people are sick these days because they have unfulfilling vocations. They don't love their job. We have so many people that come to us, and the reason they're sick is because they hate what they do for a living. Imagine hating waking up every morning. Imagine coming home complaining about what you just did all day to your spouse. That's what a lot of people do. So whatever it is you do with your career, with your education, make sure you love what you do. That is one of the most important predictors in your health. Do you love what you do? Okay? And if you don't, then maybe you'll come into my office. Hopefully not. Okay, now we test, we don't guess. So this might bring back nightmares for some of you, right? This is the Krebs cycle, citric acid pathway. You learn about it in Biology 101, and then you don't learn about it again, right? Now, wouldn't it be amazing to actually apply your knowledge? So here's the thing. We can actually quantify this. We can actually measure this through a single urine test. We can see, who wants to come up here and draw this out on the board? We can actually see if the metabolism of your mitochondria is taking place appropriately. Now you have trillions and trillions and trillions of mitochondria. So guess what? If they're not working properly, what organ is not working properly? Every organ. What cells aren't working properly? Every cell, right? So in here, in this single urine test, lies amazing, outstanding potential to improve somebody's health. Okay? This test is actually not done in Canada, it's done in the US. So we ship more pee and poop across the border than anyone else in the world. Yeah, the first thing we do is that we have our patients, when they come in, we don't draw any blood. We actually have them pee in a cup, and we ship it off. We freeze it and ship it off, and we have them poo. And they ship it off. We don't touch it. But in your stool is actually vast amounts of data about your health. Your entire microbiome, which represents the majority of the cells in your body, are actually in your stool. Did you know that over 90% of the genetic information in your body is actually non-human DNA? It's bacterial DNA. Okay, so you are actually bacteria having a human experience. Okay? So there's three concepts in patient-empowered care, in the future of what I think is healthcare. One is co-creation. Okay? So we never treat anybody. We haven't treated a single patient. That's our secret to fixing them. We help them co-create health, because remember, they're the doctor of the future. And every doctor needs to be taught how to take care of health, right? So just like if any of you go to medical school, somebody's going to teach you how to take care of other people's health. Well, why don't we just teach the patient how to do that? Leonardo da Vinci said that the greatest sign of sophistication is simplicity. Okay, this was the basis, for those of you that iPhones, this is the basis of Steve Jobs' work. He took this quote to heart. That's why most Apple products are very simple. Right? Imagine a computer, as complicated as it is on the inside, imagine that's how complicated it was on the outside to use. That wouldn't be very sophisticated, would it? It'd be actually kind of annoying. So what's more sophisticated than the human body? Anyone? Nothing. Which means what should be more simple to take care of? Nothing. Right? Health is actually very simple. We can try to outsmart our bodies. That'll never happen. Right? It's called the cosmic joke. Or we can try to embrace them. If the solution is simple, then you are working within the laws of nature. If the solution is complicated, you're trying to manipulate nature. Okay, you can grow an oak tree hundreds of feet into the air with just water and dirt and sunlight. So sophistication is marked by simplicity. The next thing is self-function. And the third thing, believe it or not, is community. I spoke in Guernsey. Has anyone ever heard of Guernsey? That's the reason I'm here. You guys, somebody saw me speak in Guernsey and then invited me here. Guernsey right now is the 10th longest living country on the planet. Little tiny island in the UK. And they had me and a few other experts from around the world fly in and discuss how they can actually be the longest living country on the planet. So they want to go from number 10 to number 1. So guess what? Do you think they're flying people in to teach their population how to take more drugs and have more surgery? You think that's the answer for longevity? No, the answer to longevity is to empower the population to take care of themselves so they don't need the drugs and surgery. But when they do, the system is there to take care of them. We have an amazing system for acute care. There's nothing cute about it, but we have an amazing system for acute care. We have a terrible system for chronic disease interventions. You cannot treat a chronic health issue with a drug when the patient is actually causing the problem in the first place. You have to teach the person how to take better care of their health. And so community was actually the number one predictor of longevity. Who you hang out with will actually predict your quality of life and how long you live more than anything else. All right, so no matter how many degrees you have hanging on your wall, I learned this the hard way. 5 minutes, come on. All right, so I learned this the hard way. I tried to get more and more certifications, more and more degrees, and then I realized that my patient is the one that's actually determining the outcome, not me. Okay? So remember this, if you ever become a doctor, your patient sitting in front of you, they're going to be the one determining the outcome. We also apply the 80-20 rule. Right now, our current medical system, is 80% of the work is delegated to the doctor. So people come to the doctor and they say, fix me. And they push 80% of the project onto the doctor. Well, in our model, it's 80% the other way. We're like, listen, you're going to fix yourself. You're going to do 80% of the work. I'm going to do 20% of it. That's pretty fair, right? It's your health. Who should care more? The value of your doctor's appointment is actually determined by what happens when you leave the office. We teach our patients a life skill they can bring into their home, they can teach their children, and literally change their genetic legacy. There's no system of healthcare that can save you from yourself. Health is your responsibility because you benefit from it. So why would you let somebody else dictate how healthy you become? That should be your responsibility. You can do whatever you want with it. Remember, your cells don't make mistakes. Your cells have perfect intelligence built into them. Think about this for just a moment. This is how often your cells replace themselves. So you have cells replacing themselves every couple of days. So why is it that people stay sick? The reason people stay sick is because, think of it this way, if I gave you a brand new car, does that make you a better driver? Absolutely not, right? I got to make you a better driver if you want to be a better driver. So people are replacing these cells on a daily basis. So why do they stay sick? Because they're sending the cells the same signal. They're feeding themselves the same food. They're in the same stressful environment that they've always been in. And we have something called autonomic pairing. You guys learned about the autonomic nervous system? Yeah? Okay. So I don't have time, but we have a fight or flight response and a parasympathetic response. And so the parasympathetic response is driven by the vagus nerve, right? How do you stimulate the vagus nerve? They don't teach you this. They teach you all about it. You hum, you chant, you deep breathe. Try to be mad while you're humming. It's impossible. Okay? Now, what's important about stimulating the vagus nerve is that it changes where we send blood flow. A lot of people's digestive issues are actually caused by where they're sending blood flow. If you're stressed out while you're eating, where's blood flow going? Is it going to the digestive system? No, it's going away from the digestive system. So just simply calming down, taking a few deep breaths, setting into your meal can make a huge difference in fixing any digestive issues people have. Where we send flow is where we send function. So I want to send more blood to my brain. Should I have a big meal? Probably not. Right? I know it's lunchtime. You guys are getting angsty. Another thing is how you're feeling is how you're healing. Happiness is one of the biggest predictors of health. Okay, so when somebody comes to us, the big thing that we ask them is, are you happy? If you're not happy, what's the point of living longer? It's actually torture, right? Imagine living 100 years being miserable. So how you're feeling is how you're healing. Community is a new guru. You might want to write that down. So collectively, the people you hang out with determine your outcomes. They determine your wealth. They determine your health as well. And then I'm going to invite you to join our community. We've got about 4,000 people. But first, I'm going to actually give you a program. So I put together a program. If you like this information and you want more information about how to take the best care of yourself possible, I created a free program. Don't write it down. Just put it right into your phones. And go to 30and30.org. If you go to 30and30.org, you enter your email address and your name. I'm going to send you 30 of my best self-care tips. Okay? These are things that I've curated, ideas I've curated over the years. You'll get a short video from me every day for the next 30 days. I'm going to teach you how to stay out of my office, how to stay out of your doctor's office, how to teach your parents and the people you love how to stay out of the system. Because that's what true health is. Health does not occur in the hospital or at your doctor's office. And I truly believe that the effective healthcare system is not one that gives you more access to it. It's one that actually liberates you from it. Do you agree with that? Right? So we have free healthcare. What does that mean? Well, I don't want healthcare. I want to stay out of that system. I want all of you to stay out of that system. And I want all of you to keep people out of that system because to me, that's the future that I'm trying to create. Okay? And I want you to create a very similar future to that. And the future of healthcare is partnered, community-driven self-care. Not more people getting sicker and then us developing drugs that actually don't fix the problem because the patient themselves, unfortunately, when it comes to chronic disease, is the problem. Welcome to the future.